All right, step 6. This stuff is new territory for me, so I apologize if I am. Well, I don't actually apologize. You're the one choosing to watch this. But to myself, I guess, future me, be easy on me for this one, because I think these are not topics I've ever talked about before. Okay, so the song that comes in my head that's related to step 6 is from my my album with the really long title, and I can't remember what it is, but I know the first line of that song is, understanding things is hard because you have to learn the world one step at a time, one letter or note, and it's slow, slow, and away you go. Yeah, so that is probably the best description of how, oh, that's my unicorn mug, how it feels from a envisioning perspective to live an authentic life. The closest thing that I've ever done to some of the visionaries I've known, like there's a visionary in my life. I won't name this person, but they were able to sort of see things at a young age. They were able to see what they wanted their life to look like, and then create achievable goals, and then attain them. And when that person would talk to me about my life, it was always very confusing to me how to take any of their success and boil it down to wisdom that could be applied to someone like me. Because someone like me, we're just pursuing such different topics and in such different fields. And what I've had to learn over the years is to be very kind, like very kind to myself and to everyone I've ever known or admired about what this path looks like. Like super crazy kind, like to the point where if this idea of envisioning and being a visionary and having an idea for who you are is all in your mind, if that is true, then, and it feels true, I mean, in connection with whatever you believe about spirit and all of that, then I remember a shift happening for me at one point in my life. I think it was a random message to a random, in a random situation. I don't remember which friend, probably a close friend, but it could have been like a post online, and that's why I can't remember. But I remember referring to my mind, or referring to thinking about something with love as using my mind heart. Mind with a little dash, heart. And I think that maybe that's where, sorry, switching my hand position. I think that maybe that's where I've gotten lost in the past, because I wasn't using my mind heart. I was using my, like, mind fear. Like, uh-oh, I should have this by now. Or, uh-oh, so-and-so. And by so-and-so, I mean, like, so-and-so, someone who's very important to me. You know, important so-and-so thinks, and it could be so-and-so, like, close to me, or it could be so-and-so, like, someone I admire, thinks I should do something this way, X, Y, or Z. And then I was using, I mean, I can feel it right now, just even talking about this. It's so, I haven't worked through this. So it's like I know this truth, but I have not really worked through this because I think it will involve a lot of pain to come out of my whatever that part of my brain is. And you have to make this choice like every day. You don't just make it once and then it's done perfectly, but that to realize that because other people had opinions, and I've talked a lot about that, or because I had no opinion, and maybe that's the real problem. Like, I think it's okay that other people have opinions of what you should do with your life. It's gross, but I'm sure I do it to others too. Like, it's gross. We are all doing it. We all look around. I think most of us look around at the world, and other than maybe looking at nature, like I'm looking at some little butterflies right now flying around my yard, and I don't think that butterfly should go up in that tree, and then when they don't, I don't think, oh man, you messed it up, butterfly. And I don't see there's a little white moth. Oh, I don't look at squirrels and bunnies and anything. I don't look at that tree and think it should do anything differently. But for some reason with other people, maybe we just think we know what's best for them sometimes. And it's a very monarch heavy area. You may be wondering. I'm wondering this even because it feels incredibly selfish, but I had a choice to sit on that chair, which would make me feel very ungrounded because there's nothing, my back wouldn't be to anything, my neighbors would see me more easily. So I could have sat on that chair and stared at this white wall and given you this beautiful view behind me. Like, that's my favorite tree. I've written multiple songs about that tree. Here's another tree. That tree used to be twice as big and it filled that part of the sky. And we had these beautiful bushes just like these ones. We had them filling that whole area. You couldn't see that blue house all year round. And in the winter, I'd be like, oh, what a cute blue house. I wish we could see it year round. Shouldn't have said that. And then, you know, half that tree fell from the sky. Well, not from the sky, but it was lightning or a storm, and crashed down and broke all this stuff. We had like giant trees in our backyard because our landlord wouldn't clean it up. And then I would like put stuffed animals on them at our house shows because it was embarrassing to just have these trashy trees and debris everywhere in our backyard for like 3 house shows because he wouldn't clean it up. He was trying to get them to pay for it, and it was just this crazy mess. And then we got a new landlord, and anyway, I don't really want to talk about that. That's other people's business, but yeah, there's pros and cons to both renting and owning, I'm aware. Anyway, that's my view, and maybe I decided it subconsciously or in some weird spirit realm way as a metaphor. Like, in this case, what do I want right now? You know, not imaginary future, few people who might watch this someday, but like, what do I want right now? And I wanted to sit with my back to the house and look out at this beautiful view that I rarely just sit and enjoy by myself with a cup of coffee. I think this one, I have quite a few unicorn mugs. Oh, FYI, I have a lot of unicorn mugs. I've reached my uniquota, so if you're watching this and you like to buy me things, I have enough unicorns, including my new business cards. Oh yeah, I said I would show those at some point. Maybe not this video. Back to the point, if I can find the point. I read something online that said that in a world of fast pace, like everything's so fast now, every YouTube video is edited, isn't it? Like, there's going to be something said, according to this article, for slow. And I feel like I'm as slow as you get. Like, there you go. There's a butterfly. You probably can't even see him, so I'm just showing you my neighbor's yard. Oh, there's those twirly things from yesterday's video. I'm gonna go over by those flowers again. They're so pretty. I'll let you look at those with me. So this has just been a kind of sad one to have to talk about because I'm really in the beginning stages of it. So maybe what I need to do right now is talk about something beautiful, something I've done well with this topic. So I'll tell you. So I feel led a lot of the time. It's related to writing songs and just kind of feeling them move through me. And, you know, it's a probably very kind of hippie thing to say. I don't really talk about it too much. It's maybe a very Christian thing to say. You know, feeling inspiration, feeling led, Holy Spirit. I mean, I just don't talk about this stuff because I fall into both camps, and I really have tons of hippie tendencies, tons of Christian tendencies, but I don't identify with either community because both communities are involving people, and that's me sort of endorsing the way they do it, and I don't really. Oh, butterfly. Ooh, tour van. We're going on tour in just a few days. Well, Earthwork Harvest Gathering, and then and then our big East Coast and Midwest tour. Ha! Oh, more butterflies. Wow. So, just so to take a second for myself and just acknowledge ways that I have used my mind heart well. What I've had to do, because I couldn't do the thing that these particular visionaries, these particular worldly wise people that I know and love, like love, and looked up to too much, because I couldn't imitate the way they were living their lives because we were on such different topics. And, you know, I just can't put money first. I can't put a lot of practical things first. It doesn't work with this path. You know, we've had to instead take our home and turn it into a house venue and open it to so many artists, and that's related to something that's been envisioning. So I would say, like, a step for you, if you're more like me than like the practical people of the world, what I've had to do is be more honest about what my genuine hopes are or my genuine wants are. And so I was always worried about seeming mean or seeming selfish or being arrogant, not seeming, being arrogant, self-involved, wanting things that not everybody can have. I always just kind of felt this sense of like who am I to get to have such and such band come to our house, you know, from the West Coast? Who am I to, why would they want to come do X, Y, or Z with me? And so I saw, it's almost like I've had to change my vision of myself, and I had to change it. And this is the wisdom that maybe I have grown on. I had to make the changes. Before any of the changes happened in reality, I had to see myself differently. I had to think, well, I'm as big a deal as any of them. Why not? I've been playing music since I was 3. I'm not very young anymore. Like, why not? Why am I not a big deal? Like, just because I'm not on a label? Who cares? You know, why wouldn't they want to come be a part of our cool little house show community? We've done like 20 shows here, and we've had really beautiful people play here. And yeah, it's mostly West Michigan. I was about to get like, it's weird. I get tongue-tied when I'm like, it's not that I'm losing my authenticity, but it's like I'm getting, it's a weird thing. It happens. It's been happening. I'm noticing it. I used to do this thing all the time. Anytime that I would say something positive about myself, I would follow it with something very self-deprecating, or others deprecating, or home deprecating, house show scene deprecating, or my own everything. I always did it. It was like I thought I was balancing something in the universe by being negative about myself. I did it literally in every post, on every topic. It's like I can't stop. And apparently something out there maybe, or maybe myself, my inner self wants me to stop doing that. Like, I didn't need to say, and yeah, they're mostly West Michigan artists. West Michigan artists are ridiculously talented. There's no reason to say that. Like, I've heard some people be like, oh, this will be the next Portland. Why not? Maybe the next Seattle. I don't know. Grand Rapids is super vibrant, and Detroit is only a few hours away, and Chicago is only a few hours away. Like, there's no reason to downplay the talent that's here. So it's ridiculous. We've hosted probably over 100 people, maybe more, or over 100 bands. Like, in terms of people, maybe a lot more. I don't know. And yeah, it does make me feel weird when I'm worried about, is this coming off like a brag? It is. I think I don't know how to handle success, and maybe that's why I've never wanted it. I don't know how to handle the fact that there are certain aspects of my life that are a success. Like, if I were to talk with you for even just 1 minute about how small I felt, and again, that's here, I could go in years. I'll start in 2014 because I had a lot of reborn feelings at that time, probably because that's when I met Brian. But also it's when I got away from other things in my life that were really all-consuming in a not good way. And so 2014, I was writing these bigger-than-life songs, like 30-minute long songs. One of them I still haven't even fully released. Well, I edited it to like 15 minutes. And like, there's an epicness to who I already was in 2014. And I had already written like 12 albums in Chicago. I only released like 2 of them. But musically, I've had a lot of epicness since I was young. I had already had music in a movie when I was living in Chicago. That's 2008. That movie is Were the World Mine. Although that was more like commissioned music. There's only a couple songs that are more like how I really would sound. One's like in this musical montage, like 2/3 of the way through. But yeah, you might like it. The movie. I don't know. Lots of people like it. But it's not really like my stuff, so. But I think you'll like it. I don't know. I don't know who you are. Hello. So like, musically, I feel like I had had a lot of success. But professionally, personal success. Like, I felt like I liked my lyrics and I liked my music and I liked my playing. And I could already, as far back in Chicago, I was already doing shows that I was really proud of by like 2008, 2009. Like, I opened for a band called Cheer Accident at the Hideout. And like, I remember feeling very proud of myself. Like, I was doing well. I was doing the right things and I was doing well. But then personal things caused me to shrink down because I needed to prioritize this other person who was a humongous drain on my life. And that sounds horrible, but he was a very, very bad person. So, at least to me. And I know he had been through a lot of terrible things. And I already talked about that in earlier videos. But my point is, if I can strip that away from my story, I had already had what to me felt like musical success when I was living in Chicago way before 2014. So then, of course, it's not any big deal that in 2014, I was here and I was feeling more of a personal success. I didn't live at this house yet, but I lived in this area. And I had a boyfriend I loved, and we were doing music. We were doing open mics. We were doing little shows around here. And musically, I already felt like a success. So I would go into these places and I would play. I felt like I had arrived. I already was writing these 30-minute long songs that I loved, and I felt confident. But I had zero confidence on like what my life actually looked like. Like, I didn't have a trajectory. I didn't have a vision. A lot of that was because of the people I was choosing to be around. And so, of course, I had no confidence. I had confidence that the music sounded good, but I didn't understand why that wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, but I didn't understand that. And so I would, and I didn't know that many people around here, so people wouldn't necessarily come out to see me. Or I think 2014, I did an album release show at 7 Steps Up, and some new people I met at Girls Rock Grand Rapids, a place I volunteered. That was my first lesson, was like, volunteer, get out in your community, meet people, do something. I volunteered at Girls Rock Grand Rapids. I think soon after that is when I performed at and volunteered at the DAC, which is a really important DIY space in Grand Rapids. I met some of my best friends through that, and just musical acquaintances, people that were on a similar trajectory to me. And so by volunteering and watching what's their process, and then I got asked in early 2015 to be in the little variety show for Ladyfest at the Pyramid Scheme, and that was for me like, I've arrived, like, this is it, I'm being embraced now. And so, of course, later, when it didn't just keep going up, 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 it was confusing. I had a really hard time with the fact that my music has felt ready for so long. Pretty much like, maybe not since college, because when I performed in college, I didn't have a comfortable acquaintanceship with my voice yet. I don't know why I said acquaintanceship. I wasn't comfortable with my own voice, so I sang even quieter. I hadn't really developed it. But when I was living in Chicago, after college, like, I really did develop my voice, and I felt pretty comfortable with it. So I had the music piece in a place that I felt good about. in Chicago, 2008 or whenever that was, doing my new YouTube videos. I had a producer doing an album. I just didn't know that music only wasn't enough back then. And so, you know, for me, and this is where Mind Heart kind of comes back into play, is I couldn't do the thing that these people were asking me to do. These people who told me I need to envision, you know, like my heroes, like Joanna Newsom, you need to have a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan to like envision how to get there. It's like, I couldn't do that. There's no books on this. There's no books on this. In fact, the articles that I've read, as I've already alluded to, on how to do this were mostly wrong. Most of them encouraged me to do things that went against my authenticity. I couldn't say that more on how important it was to stop listening to those articles. To stop listening to the shit, no offense, for swearing, coming into my inbox. From ASCAP, from Indie on the Move, from, I don't even know, CD Baby, I don't even know. All these different places where I had signed up to use their services for like a subscription. And then they went out, you know, as part of their staying relevant maybe, they would hire these different people to write these articles on how to do the music scene and the music industry and the DIY thing. And just, it was a lot of people telling me what to do. Like, do not take any of these videos as me telling you what to do. This is what I've done. And I probably am already a big, gigantic, ironic joke because maybe I have been telling you what to do. So don't do this. I don't know. I don't know if I'm right for you. I know I'm right for me, or I'm feeling right for me. But anyway, back to that story. So in 2015, we started doing like little writing retreats. I got asked to do a 2-week, well, I submitted and I was accepted to do a 2-week writing residency. That's the first time I felt valid in my life. Thank you, Crosshatch Center for Art and Ecology up in Bel Air, Michigan. You're life-changing. And so I got asked to do that. And then basically after that, I think that was the first time I felt like really, really valid. And so after that happened, then, oh, hold on one second. I lost my train of thought a little bit. Well, it's okay. I can keep going. Okay, so that happened. Oh, and Lamplight Music Festival. So a friend of mine got me into Lamplight Music Festival, and it was somebody that I met through doing the Girls Rock Grand Rapids volunteering. And so the combination of things, it was like volunteering for Girls Rock Grand Rapids mixed together with, you know, getting asked to do Lamplight or submitting it and having the friends, having the connections. That's the piece that was really different for me. I'm learning to work with distraction now, and it is kind of life-changing. I'm not good at it yet, but I think I have an apologetic soul where I just, when people would come by, it's like a metaphor for me. If people come by and it doesn't derail me, that's a metaphor for my whole life, because my whole life has been people coming by and it derailing me, and me not doing the work I need to do and not being what I need to be. And I just, in tiny ways, try not to do that anymore, even if it's just a mental exercise. So, so sorry. No one's over there now, but anyway, I was distracted. And I like to still be kind when I can and talk to people when I can, but it doesn't mean that every moment of my whole life, anytime ever, I always need to drop whatever through line I'm on in order to be kind to somebody else. Like, sometimes the kind thing is keep doing what you do and give them an opportunity to respect you, you know? That is way too big of a topic. I'm not going to talk about that right now. So, I mean, that's as simple as saying, like, this is what I need. Like, if you go visit family or you go visit friends or you figure things out, you know, even if the thing that you do isn't the kindest feeling, it's like, if it's what you need, not what you want, but, like, sometimes there's things we genuinely need and we override them for other people. And, like, I try not to do that anymore. If there's something I really need to be my best self, I really try to make sure that I honor it. It's not always practical to do so, so sometimes I override it. A lot of times I do, but in situations where there's a lot of time constraints or whatever, but a lot of the time there's no real reason to be overriding my needs and putting myself last. It's an old habit. It's a thing that I learned in different systems and patterns where I didn't I didn't feel like everybody's opinions could be honored because everyone's opinions were different, and so someone needed to kind of default. And it was just easiest if I just kind of sat back. And I think everyone does that to some degree because we're social creatures and we're living in the world. But I mean, some people don't do it at all. They're leaders, and that's how they operate. Which my solution for that is just to be alone a lot. And I love being alone a lot. Because when I'm alone a lot, I don't have to feel like it's a burden to you that I want to do all these things. And this YouTube thing is actually a very new trajectory. My favorite thing when I'm alone a lot was always journaling or writing songs. And I know I'll get back to writing more songs eventually, but I just feel like I have a lot to say right now for some reason. I think I have been very moved by some of the young people who've written me and made me feel like the way I talk or the way I post on Instagram is helpful for them. Or more importantly, and I need to remember this, just a specific album. Like, I think it's less about the words I'm saying to you right now, and maybe more just about how I'm living. Or maybe it's just all caught in the album, and even if you don't know the lyrics, that, like, what I'm saying, maybe it's just a fragment of a line. Maybe it's just my spirit that is helpful for anybody else who's, like, quiet but wants to grow. I mean, I'm not quiet, obviously. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. But, like, quiet as in, like, I'm not trying to take power from anyone. I really am trying to just be off by myself and do my own thing. And that's, like, a form of being quiet. That's why I probably talk so much in these. Is that I feel like in most scenarios, in work scenarios, in lots of scenarios, I feel like I try to take the passive role. I try to not put myself on other people. I try to not insist that things go my way. And being accommodating often has made me feel successful. It's made me feel like I'm a good servant, a good giver. And, sorry, there's a butterfly. And I'm trying to look at that because I'm trying to think, well, but all of what's inside of me here that I've been wanting to share, it's like, I mean, because that could just be a mild form of depression that's come about from feeling like everyone around me knows I write this many songs and nobody, especially people with lots of money, is really wanting to help me get this out in the world. And maybe they think I don't want help, and maybe at this point I don't. But because I had to find my own ways and make my own methods, because the methods that were in the world were failing me. So yeah, so 2015, was a big deal with leaving a stable job and having a piano business, but that's not really related to this part of the story. But a little bit, because I needed the flexibility. I needed a flexible schedule to be able to go off on that 2-week writing retreat that I otherwise wouldn't have been allowed to go off on unless I'd gone in the summers because I was working for a school. And, the world's not that rigid in the music community. I know a lot of musicians who are homeless between tours. They live with their parents. Thankfully, they have someone who will support them. They are, poor. They're jobless between tours. I know a lot of people who can't find work between tours, and then they can't afford to do the music. And so it's a very tragic, broken industry. It's almost not an industry. It's almost like even people who are trying to do it full time, it's forcing you to feel like a hobbyist just because there's no money in it. When we pay out the musicians who come through here, we'll be lucky to get them $100 for their travels. And then that's including all of the musicians from West Michigan playing for free or for $10 just to have come from Grand Rapids, or $20. And it's like, this is tragic. These beautiful, amazing musicians. But, I mean, they're doing it because their name gets on a poster with someone that maybe they love or admire. Or if it's not about a poster, maybe they just want that experience. But my guess is, and I'm not saying this to be shallow, but it's partly because in order to build in this industry, it is about where you've connected and where you've played and who you know and how you meet them. So it's both things. It's all things. It's going out, meeting the people, networking. And it's not a slimy thing. Networking means you're coming out of your shell and you're sharing your gifts and you're listening to other people's gifts and you're talking about each other's gifts and if you like each other, because you shouldn't just do it blindly with everyone. And I used to think that might be good, but I don't believe that anymore. I think networking is like research. It's like you play shows, you go out in the world, you do things, you connect with people, you send emails, whatever your networking ways are. But then in your own mind, you don't have to say no out loud to everybody, but in your own mind, you think no all the time. Like, no, not this, no, not this, no, not this, not this. This music doesn't connect with me. This venue doesn't connect with me. This thing doesn't connect with me. And you just think no constantly. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And that's what I was saying is the new heart wisdom that I've had. No has always felt like such a cruel word to me. No has felt like the meanest word in the world. So maybe that makes sense from what I was just saying. As a passive person trying to say yes, that made me feel like a servant, made me feel like someone you would value. I was focused on you. If you valued me by me saying yes to your wants, well, here's where that led someone like me. It led me into, I can't believe I shared all them, multiple abusive relationships. And that's a worst case scenario. Maybe there's worse cases than mine. But, mine were very bad. Especially the one in college. Like, horrifying. Multiple scenarios where I should be dead. Put it that way. Anyway, humor is a good defense mechanism, but also it does help shift energy. So in 2015, doing all those things, 2016, I got stir crazy. I really did. I wanted to move to the Pacific Northwest. I started researching other scenes. I wasn't getting enough traction fast enough here in West Michigan. I had just played Lamplight Music Festival, and I had just gone on this beautiful retreat in Michigan. Michigan was being so kind to me. But for whatever reason, in 2016, I think it was because Brian and I hadn't moved in together yet. That was halfway through 2016. I was alone a lot. I was in my head. And maybe it also would have been a right trajectory for me. Maybe Brian would have come with. I love him. But we wouldn't have had Cloud Light. We wouldn't have had a lot of things. Seriously, this is real to me. But I could have researched, and maybe it was because I wanted to get out of, no, I had already left that job. I don't know why. The Pacific Northwest became just like an obsession. I saw it in a movie or in a video. I did it intentionally. I was trying to think, where do I want to move? And I can tell you why I did that. And this maybe is mind-heart related as well. I didn't want to live in a place where when anybody asked me, why are you in Michigan, I had to tell the story of my ex and how things got really bad. And so we moved in with his mother to try to help him, or help us. And it didn't work. I didn't want to have to tell that story. Now, I don't have to tell that story, but I don't like lying. So then when people would say, well, why'd you move to Michigan? Why does anyone leave Chicago and move to a small town in Michigan? It wasn't like, to be in nature. Because then I could have picked anywhere. I could have picked by my family up in Minnesota. My brother had always invited me to move by him, and in 2007, I almost did. And it would have gotten me out of some really bad times, and he had offered, and my car was even totaled after doing 2 shows in Minnesota that were some of my happiest shows. I felt like Minneapolis. I felt like Minneapolis people loved my music in a way that Chicago people didn't. And I remember thinking weird, maybe this is where I belong. And I was writing really esoteric, kind of thoughtful, weird, satire almost at the time. So who I am now, I couldn't have maybe been in Minnesota. I have no idea. And I like who I am now. So, but in 2007, I had an offer. But then when I went back, something really tragic happened that I will not share, but it convinced me and or manipulated me into staying in that very challenging situation. And I still loved those years in Chicago that came after that, but I think that's why then when I was in Michigan, after that chapter of my life had ended, both Chicago and moving to West Michigan to try to save that marriage. I didn't mean to roll my eyes. I kind of did. I just shouldn't. I don't know. Who knows why we do what we do. Trying to save things, trying to fix things, clearly I'm being too passive. I was following what somebody was telling me to do all the way to the altar, and it's just not good. Anyway. But that's a long time in the past, and I'm very grateful for that. But it's an honest part of the story, and it's an honest part of why in 2016 I wanted to move away. That is the number one reason I wanted to move away, was I didn't want to answer the question, why are you in Michigan? I would say the number 2 reason was that I felt I needed to be by a bigger music scene, because I was confused. I couldn't find music jobs, like piano gigs, but I don't even really want those. But it would be nice, play at a hotel or whatever I needed to do to make money. But piano teaching also makes money, and I was getting enough students, and it was going okay. So I think it was mostly scene related. I didn't really understand the Grand Rapids scene. I felt disconnected. I kept volunteering. I did stuff with the DAC. I met one of my best friends. I think that might have been 2015, actually. There was the DAC Lotto Band. Yeah, that was that was July 2015, and they drew names, and we made fake bands with people from other bands and music projects, and so that's how I met Ryan Wyrick, the artist who does a ton of my cover art or album art, and he's wonderful. But, so 2016 wanting to move away, and then how is this about my vision? I'm getting lost in this story. It's so sad. Anyway, Brian and I moved in together. I think we played our first show as Cloudlight. That summer, we did Cloudlight at Lamplight Music Festival in November of 2016. And so that's what the story is. So 2015 summer and 2016 summer, I was trying to play music with Brian, but he was taking things very slow. Probably because of my past, because of his past, all these things. He took things so slow that I thought that meant he wasn't interested. But I would have made a band with him right away when we were dating, because I'm, whatever. I knew I liked him. I'm gonna stop with that topic too. It's all great. But yeah, so summer 2016, making Cloudlight, doing that at Lamplight. But still, it's just, things felt kind of slow for me. And then, catch you up to the speed that you would know about, whoever you are, because I wasn't doing YouTube videos back then, would be that I was still doing Jessica and the Rainbow, but I was confused about what to do with it in 2016. I was still doing shows. And then, starting Cloudlight, that was meant to be an addition to thing. I didn't want to throw away Jessica and the Rainbow. It was meant to be both. And then, the election. And I just changed. I just got very impatient with how slow I was evolving and how much I wasn't taking myself and my own life in my own hands and becoming. I wasn't talking, I wasn't sharing who I was. I felt like I was being fake externally, but internally I was exactly this. And so it really bothered me that nobody knew who I was. I never shared just videos of my music. I released an album once every few years. I remember I just took a project I was working on. It started in 2015 with my friend Elizabeth Blair, and she did all these orchestrations. And I was trying to build this album for those 30-minute songs up into this big deal, but then, I didn't know how to get things out in the world. So anyway, this is a very strange video. I did not mean to tell my whole story. Well, anyway, I guess I did, but I should get to the point. So then, yes, the election happened. I got incredibly sad. It brought back all kinds of PTSD from things I've talked about before. I was just terrified to live here, terrified of a lot of things, and that's when I started sharing a lot on Facebook and getting really outspoken, and I feel like I changed a lot in a very short period because of my fear. I was saying things like, we're in 1984, I wanted that to be my favorite book, but not for living in it, and I got really just uncomfortable being alive and uncomfortable being here, and by early 2017, I think someone else had the idea. It was not my idea. It was a friend of Brian's who had the idea to do a song a week, write a song a week and just share it on YouTube or other random things I could do with my time. And then, I was like, well, a song a week. It sounds terrible, but I'd already felt really accomplished musically, and I already knew that I wrote hundreds of songs a year. I really did. I have recordings of them back to, I think, 2014 or 2015. Was when it just started being hundreds a year. But in 2009 and 2008, there were at least 100 a year too, I think. So it was just a lot. Maybe not that much, but the hundreds of songs a year, it's because it became like my therapy. I just got so introverted in 2014, 2015, and early 2016. I was living alone. Songwriting became my therapy. So I already had all these hundreds of songs, and so in early 2017, before the inauguration happened, I was just like, I need to I can't just do a song a week, so I was like, well, I'll do a song a day. And I don't know. I guess I just believed I could because I had been writing for so. And I learned a lot of lessons through doing that, but that just became, like, it almost was like a publicity stunt. But it wasn't, because it was just a way, I mean, it was a publicity stunt for myself to be like, hey, you all don't know me, including my family. You don't know me at all. I'd been writing hundreds of songs a year, and I was just saying it like a soundbite. I write hundreds of songs a year, and I was like, I need to, like, prove it's the wrong way to say it, but I just felt like nobody knows me. That's what I felt all the time. Nobody knows me. You know? Even just like playing solo piano for myself to like heal how sad I was that day. Why wasn't I just pressing record and then sharing that? Because what if someone else was sad that day? And what if it could be helpful for them? And I found out within like day one. It was day one that I got a comment about having made a person cry in a good way, and that it felt healing for them. And it's like, I don't have regret, because I can see why someone like me couldn't be this any sooner. I can see it. Like, I was too concerned with what everyone else thought, and I was too concerned with making you happy, making sure your needs were met. And it's like, whoa, turning that around. Are my needs met? Am I being who I am? Am I living my life the way I not should, but the way I could be living it? I'm still not. I don't think I am. I don't think this YouTube thing needs to go on forever. Not like this. I want to share music. I want to be, like, when I play a show, I talk a little bit between songs, but I share my songs. And I feel confident sharing those songs. And people who've never heard them before, never seen me before, this just happened in Iowa, react to me like I'm already something I don't see myself in my mind. I don't see myself as the same as Sufjan Stevens or Joanna Newsom, some of my heroes. But if you do resonate with my style of music, how would you experience me any differently? It is the same thing. I'm a classically trained pianist who writes tons of songs. And when I'm, warmed up, I don't know. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but it's just, of course I can do a show that sounds nice. And Cloudlight shows sound really nice, because it's got a nice full band sound. And Jessica and the Rainbow shows sound really nice when I've filled out the sound more. And that's one thing that Grand Rapids taught me that was a very hard lesson to learn. I wasn't always getting the attention I wanted or the offers to be part of things, and my sound was just piano vocal or keyboard vocal. And I've developed my sound a lot more, specifically because I think the world now likes to hear lots of instruments. There's loop pedals, there's all kinds of things. You can be a soloist, but filling out your sound will make it easier for other people to enjoy it in a live setting. So I do that now, even if it's just backing tracks and you play along with them. But sometimes it's Casio beats or it's synthesizers or whatever. Not much, but I'm trying. And 2017 to 2018 to 2019, all these challenges, and 12 albums in 12 months, 365 songs in 365 days, 52 dreams, trying to grow on all these topics. It's like, these are just ways for me to force myself out into the world. And it is a little forced, but it's also very inspired. I don't expect myself to do this forever, because it takes up a lot of phone data, and it, takes up a lot of time. But I guess what I want to say is, like, I'm okay with that now. I'm okay. I have so much love for it as a journey now. Like, I couldn't have 5 years ago said Brianna Morella when I first heard her in 2015. This was the point I was going to make before I told my whole random story. So I don't know who's still watching now, but I didn't. So when someone told me I need to make a 5 or a 10-year plan, I didn't know what the plan was. I don't know how you get more traction. I didn't know how you would open for Galen Leah at the Pyramid Scheme. I didn't know what the steps were to that. And then on top of that, the steps for someone like me, who needs to feel like more their authentic self before they have the confidence to even submit for that opportunity. And so all this healing and becoming more authentically myself, like, the way it works with my ability to envision a future is that a lot of times I've had to make my envisioning very small. I've had to just imagine the next 3 months, 6 months. Like, I couldn't have even imagined touring a year ago, because I didn't know how we'd have the connections, and I didn't know how we would even do it. I thought I saw a bird. It was a flower. I couldn't imagine Brianna Morella, Johanna Warren, Breathe I'll Breathe. I was going to say Mutual Benefit, but members of Mutual Benefit and Florists, like all these amazing people that I look up to that are further along on their trajectory, coming to my house and just playing a show for, you know, $80 to $100 for gas money. Why would they do that? But the thing is, I just needed to be part of something that was growing and be part of something that was flowing, and then just see the next thing. And when I felt that sense of flow and I saw the next thing, I oftentimes, and I remember one of these times specifically, it was 2017, and I was emceeing at Lamplight Music Festival. And I met Jordan, a mutual benefit, and I met, like I had seen him as a fan, but I met Micah and Breathe I Will Breathe, and Brian helped me with this one. I did not see myself as valid enough to even talk to them, let alone invite them to come play our house or try to be friends or any junk like that. But I do think this one's Brian. Like, he was like, famous people are just people. Like, what are you doing? Like, he's nicer than that. But, you know, it changed me. They are just people. They're people who want to be treated like people, and they're people who want to connect. And the thing that's confusing is they don't want to connect with everyone all the time, because maybe tons of people are always trying to connect with them. And that's already true for me, and I'm not famous. I can't handle the amount of that is wanting to be given to me sometimes. Because then, you know, that would make me not want to put myself out there and go back to being more introverted in order to be okay. But I mean, but that's not personal. That's why I try to share things like, your messages mean a lot to me, or, you know, it's not that many, but it is, you know, it is. They're there, and it's helpful. And I talked about that in an earlier video already. Like, I can't always message back with the same intensity that someone's given me because of the number of people, and it's unrealistic. Maybe anything, fame, even tiny amounts, like I already kind of have, is unrealistic. It creates imbalances in relationships. But I hope you still enjoy the music, and I hope you still feel positive feelings and thoughts about me. And that's why I'm trying to give you these videos, to be like, hey, I can't maybe be all your friends in like real time, but I can give you these thoughts from my brain to yours, and from my insight to yours, and from my feeling of wisdom to yours. And I can say, you know, it's okay. It's okay that you don't know any of the answers yet. It's okay that you don't know how to get to where the people you admire have gotten to, because there weren't maps for me. There aren't maps. And it's been very one step at a time. And so as I've learned to just see the next thing and the next thing, but sometimes, okay, so this is the last thing I'll say on this. Sometimes I've needed to envision something way bigger, and it made me feel guilty every time. Like, what if I do want to play? Like, I would tell people sometimes I feel more comfortable playing on stages for thousands of people with the dark audience than I do, you know, in a tiny room sometimes. Because then I'm not as aware of each individual person's thoughts or energy or opinions of me, especially if that room is really bright and I can see everyone's faces. And it made me feel so arrogant, like, I want to play for thousands of people. But it's like, what if I do? I've been doing piano competitions and recitals since I was like in elementary school. I played for my whole elementary school in 5th grade. That's 300 people. And it was no big deal. I mean, it was. But I got up on the stage, and I did theater my whole childhood too. Like, you just got up on the stage, you did your lines, you did your songs, you just connect, and you connect with yourself. And in between songs, I'm the type to try to connect a little bit with you. And that's where I get stuck. And that's why I said I'm not healed on this yet. Because if that really is my vision, A, I don't know the steps to get there, and B, you know, all the realities that come with a life like that, I've seen some of them from the inside for other people. And maybe that's where there has to be wisdom. Maybe I need to say, well, just because they had a tough experience with X, Y, or Z doesn't mean I will. Or it might mean I'm supposed to have that tough experience so I can grow on a particular topic. And that's where I think I've gotten in my own way. Like, if something is your vision, if you can see a future that involves you doing X, Y, or Z, and if it feels true, it's sort of, maybe that's it. Envisioning for me, I just don't want to put an overlay on my life. I don't want to make fake goals, like writing a check for millions of dollars. That's a fake goal for me. I don't need that. I don't want that. I think money brings as many problems as it brings blessings. But I need money in the sense that I need resources. We need resources to tour. I need resources to make videos, to write songs, to upload things, to buy a new phone if this one gets messed up, to buy a new laptop. That'd be amazing. If that fell apart, I'd be screwed. So it's like, I know I need money, and Brian gave me a new word for that, is resources. Like, I need resources to do the things that I feel called to do the things that I feel are needed. from me in this world. You know, there's different things needed from everybody. But so that's my last thought on that, is that finding your, I guess, mind heart, and kind of seeing it as, I don't know, like making friends with it. Not thinking of yourself as arrogant, not thinking of it as any big deal that you want things that are very far from where you are right now. And maybe I do think want is toxic. I read a lot of Taoism when I was a kid. I guess it was like freshman year of college. I guess I'm, whatever, kid. I don't even mean that to be dismissive. I felt like more grown up sometimes when I was like 10 years old than I do sometimes now. But I read a lot of Taoism, and it really talked me out of wanting things, and I think that messed up my trajectory a little bit to success or how to bring music into the world, because bringing music into the world is seen as a success track. But I'm actually more trying to be, I skew probably more Taoist than capitalist. Those aren't really meant to be a contrast, but you know, if any success has required me to change who I am and fit into a mold at this point, I couldn't do it. I probably never could do it well. But every situation that's ever required me to be something different than who I am, I've not done as well in. And so, you know, I don't need to make 50-minute YouTube videos all the time, my gosh. But I need to right now. So I hope some of that's helpful for you. I don't even know who you are. I don't know who would watch this, but, you know, I do have some diehard fans, and maybe they are wondering what it is about me that made me me. But then again, maybe they just like my piano skills. So in other words, just, you know, take piano lessons for 10 years and then go into a music conservatory and get really flipping good at music theory. And once you're really, 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 really good at music theory, then if you have that connection, that authentic connection to something that makes you feel like writing is your purpose, and when you feel that, when you hear a song come into your head, you can translate it using all of the flippin' intense music theory that you've been trained on. And now I've been doing it for so long that it's just like a muscle. It's like any note I hear now, it's essentially like perfect pitch if I kind of hear it coming through. And it's never sent perfectly. It's not like I perfectly hear things. Sometimes I'm just doodling like a jazz pianist would, except on, you know, musical themes that are more, you know, I don't know, floaty, existential lullaby, Joanna Newsom-y kind of floaty, neoclassical. That's what they would call it. So, freak folk, who knows. Anyway, that's how I've created the life I have so far. That's how I recommend. Oh, so that's step 6 on being authentically yourself is, you know, tiny visions. Having tiny visions with your mind heart and seeing yourself with love, not discounting yourself, not making yourself into too big of a deal either, because arrogance got in the way for me whenever I felt like, hey, I'm already accomplished musically, why am I not, you know, being received well, you know? And like, it's just I wasn't maybe in my right place or my right time, or maybe there were still things I needed to learn. I think I changed the sun setting on this thing. Yeah, I didn't mean to. Sun. Weird. I never knew that had that button. Anyway, thanks for watching. I don't know if this one even said a point. Step 6. Envision who you want to be and take tiny steps to be it. I don't know. If you can figure out what the steps are, and if you can't, meet other people who you admire and ask them what they've done. Maybe that's what my volunteering and networking has done. Something like that. Just try to grow, try to learn, try to listen, try to be teachable, and try to be honest with yourself. If things that you want feel like they're bigger than what you deserve or whatever, then look at that, why you feel like you don't deserve things that other people have gotten. Why don't you deserve these things? You deserve them too. If someone else has gotten it, then you deserve it too. I do believe we are equal. There's no reason that if someone else can have X, Y, or Z that you can't have X, Y, or Z. In terms of deserving, in terms of worth, in terms of human worth. So, That's all. Bye.